Crops for the future.
When it rains heavily in the Andes Mountains in the spring, streams and rivers turn into torrents, sweeping along everything in their path. A drowned cow has been fished out of the floodwaters. It provides a rare opportunity for the villagers of Torna Mesa in Peru to enjoy their favorite special meal, pachamanca. The meat is divided up among the families with fair shares for all. The meat is cooked slowly on hot stones under a layer of earth, together with potatoes and aromatic leaves from shrubs which grow in this region.
Potatoes. This is where they originally came from, and here they were for centuries the most important feature of the traditional diet. The native varieties come in a unique assortment of shapes and colours. Their flavour is superb. Potato eaters in other parts of the world have never tasted anything like it. In the weekly market in Lima, though, as elsewhere in Peru, potatoes are nowadays not exactly low-priced compared with other basic foodstuffs. The reason for this is cheap imported grain and grain products from the surplus production of the United States, the European Community, and other suppliers. And moreover, the government subsidizes the imports. This has caused the country's own potato production to drop by a third in the past 2 decades. For broad sections of the population who live at bare subsistence level, the potatoes grown by the small farmers in the Andes are too dear.
Those worst affected are the children of the poor in the sprawling slums on the outskirts of Peru's cities, where already more than half of Peru's 20 million or so people live. It would be a great help to the mothers and children here if they could get enough cheap potatoes to satisfy their hunger, because potatoes contain almost everything a person needs for healthy nourishment. But on average, they get no more than 150 grams per head per day. Yet this is the country which gave potatoes to the world.
If potato cultivation is to be encouraged and the migration of the poorer rural population to the cities halted, it's necessary for the incomes of the Andes farmers to be improved by higher and more reliable yields. Extending the cultivation areas for potatoes wouldn't result in any increased production. Only 3% of Peruvian soil can be used as arable land. That's another reason why this Andean state nowadays produces barely half of what its inhabitants need to live. There are real advantages in encouraging potato cultivation in Peru. One of them is that a single hectare of potatoes produces more nourishing proteins than any other crop. In Europe too, the highly nutritious potato was for a long time the most important basic foodstuff, though prosperity has brought about a change in eating habits in recent years and caused the potato to lose some of its former popularity.
Potato blight, a dreaded fungal disease. This is what decimated potato harvests in Europe too in the 19th century, resulting in severe famine. In Ireland, 1 million people died and countless more had to emigrate to survive. Particularly in developing countries, even today, harvests are still threatened by all kinds of potato pests and diseases, which means potato farmers always have to face high risks.
Pachamama, the Inca goddess of the fruits which ripen underground. Her likeness adorns the entrance to the International Potato Research Center in Lima. Scientists from all over the world are working here to find out what could improve potato yields, both qualitatively and quantitatively, on a long-term basis worldwide, but particularly in developing countries. The work of this institute, which is independent of commercial interests, is partly financed by European institutions.
Here, with the help of sexually attractive scents known as pheromones, the harmful potato moths are being lured into traps so that they can be counted. The haul? 30,000 moths caught in a single day on just 1 hectare of land. In the laboratory, a research centre technician is collecting potato moth caterpillars, which bore their way into the potato and eat it up. He is looking for caterpillars with a viral disease. Their juices are capable of infecting their fellow caterpillars, causing them to die off. So when they're crushed by a pestle and mortar, the caterpillars produce a specific, natural plant protective agent. They are also trying to get rid of nematodes, a very destructive type of tapeworm found in the soil, by using a fungal poison. The fungus is put into a petri dish and placed in the growth chamber, where it proliferates freely. Then a poison extract is prepared from this. This woman scientist is trickling poison solution over previously sterilized rice. Finally, she mixes this with a little loose soil. In this field, which is used for experiments, the mixture is carefully sprinkled along the furrows containing seed potatoes.
Today, research centres mainly on improving the powers of resistance of potato plants against pests, diseases and other forms of stress. A great deal of healthy plant material is required for all these experiments and for breeding purposes. Rapid propagation is achieved with the help of tissue cultures to avoid having to wait for the natural growth periods. The cell tissue is divided up at frequent intervals, and every portion produces a seedling virtually identical to the original plant.
Where traditional methods of breeding to produce resistant strains can go no further, modern genetic engineering steps in. As scientist Peter Schmiedecher, who's working at the Potato Center in Lima, reports, this is what happened in the case of bacterial wilt, which often had devastating effects on tropical potato cultivation and which could not be brought under control by conventional measures.
That gave us the idea of exploiting a property possessed by the silk caterpillar, which produces an enzyme in its digestive tract which has a bactericidal effect. In other words, it kills off bacteria. And our colleagues in the United States have succeeded in identifying the DNA sequence via the enzyme chain. We were then able to constitute this DNA sequence in a synthetic gene and are now in the process of introducing this artificial gene into a bacterium which has the property of infecting plants, and so introduce this gene into the plant. We are hoping now to be able to introduce this gene into the potato genome, the potato's set of genes, and so produce a plant which in its turn produces this enzyme